the E train, and then I changed for the G. And on that train, I forgot the station in Brooklyn, in Greenpoint, there was this other young, we were young, got off the train and we walked the 2 blocks to PS 132. And we realized that we were working in the same school, and we were on the same subway route coming from Queens, Susan from Jamaica, and myself from the, I don't remember the name of the stop, but a few stops further into, further east. Van Wyck Station, thank you. And she and I became fast friends. And when I started to drive to work, I would pick her up in my little Volkswagen Bug, and we became fast friends. And as Barbara mentioned, that Susan was a dancer. I attended dance class with her someplace in Long Island City with a teacher named Thalby. And we would be jumping all over the gym and just having a great time. So she and I were friends, and then George came into the picture, which was delightful. And we met them in London one summer. And we had our first Indian meal with them in London. And then, not quite sure of the time, how it was organized, but we went to a party, Barbara, in your parents' home, and we all had to dress as our favorite American. And it was
because it was when George became a citizen.
That's what it was. Oh, yes, and we were the witnesses to his citizenship. And our son, who took his first steps that day, was probably a little over a year old. I remember that day very well. Thank you for bringing it back into focus. And I dressed as Betsy Ross, and Jack was a construction worker with his hard hat, because the construction workers were out demanding their rights at the time. I don't remember. Too many things have gone on since then. But Susan was a great friend, and George said that we were the first home, we were married already, the first home that he went to, in addition to your parents' house, Barbara. And I had 2 boys, Susan and George had 2 boys, and we became, a family events. We went to the beach with them, we went to pools with them. We sat in their backyard in Yorktown Heights in a little pool with 4 little boys on a hot July day. Somebody's birthday was in July, and we always celebrated with them. And the students at PS 132 in Brooklyn loved her. And she did amazing art projects with them. And she was adventurous. And she had these great granny boots, and she had a style about the way she dressed. And she always had little earrings and short hair. And at that time, I didn't have short hair. But she was just a great friend, and she was always there for us. And every occasion, there was an email greeting from her, commemorating whatever, the spring, the fall, Halloween. And it was always a great delight to be in their presence. And I miss her so much already. Jack?
I remember mostly holidays and special events. Whenever I opened up the mailbox and there was a letter from the Taylors, I knew immediately it was something that Susan had made. I would open up the greeting cards, handmade greeting cards. I think I still kept some of them. We still have some of those beautiful handmade greeting cards. She was so talented. When we visited them in Yorktown Heights, the house was always filled with handcrafts. She was really talented, smart. I love that woman, and I love George too. Great couple.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you so much.
Our condolences to the family. It's really hard. I'm sure it's hard for you too.
Thank you for your beautiful words. I'd like to turn the Zoom over to Roger and Sheila Price.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Hey!
If you can see me, that's your problem.
Obviously, without a doubt, we send our condolences to all the friends and
Oh.
family and George and Barbara, of course.
Hi Sheila, hi Roger.
We love you, George.
Love you
Well,
too.
I first met Susan in 1956 when I met Barbara. So Barbara and I were entering Adelphi for pre-freshman orientation. And we walked into Adelphi together and we've been friends ever since. Before Bert, before Roger, Barbara and I have been buddies. So then, of course, there was her little sister. So I know Susan since she was maybe 12 or 13. And I've always loved her. A unique person, a wonderful person. Then I went to Glasgow, Scotland for a semester of study and loved it there so much. And then back at Adelphi, Susan was entering Adelphi, and I would tell her these wonderful memories that I had of Glasgow, Scotland, and lo and behold, Susan went there. And then she met George, and of course the story goes on. Well, then in I think it was 1967, we were on a trip
Yes.
to Spain. And it was completely a coincidence that we found out that Susan and George had gotten married and were spending their honeymoon in Spain. And they would be there the same date that we would be there. And then on top of that, we found out that Susan's parents were coming to also share in the celebration of their wedding.
Mhm.
And so we were on the rooftop of the Plaza Hotel in Madrid
Mhm.
celebrating George and Susan's wedding with her parents and George and Susan. That none of this had been planned ahead of time.
It was fantastic.
It was great. And they brought
Oh, it's
out
fabulous.
and Barbara has tried to reproduce the great at Baked Alaska for us and done a great job.
Yes, Barbara, you're doing a good job.
But the memories of sharing their honeymoon and the idea that she married a Scotsman made
Yeah.
my heart feel really, really good. So anyway, I obviously we feel so sad, so bad, but she was a wonderful person to know, as is Barbara. And that's,
Everybody has wonderful memories.
yeah,
Wonderful memories. And I hear them tonight. They're just amazing.
yeah, it's good. It's good. Hey, thank you.
George, we're with you. Wish you well.
Thank you, Roger. Great to see you. Sheila,
Likewise.
wonderful to see you, and thank you, Sheila, very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
I just
Incredible.
wanted to, I'd like to say a little something that when I had met one of Susan's friends. Her name was Sandry Weinrebe. Her father played the cello in the New York Philharmonic for about 25 years.
Hmm.
And she lived in San Francisco. And so we were cruising the west coast of the United States, and we were docked in San Francisco. So I thought, let me go visit Sandy. So I'd written to her, and I was going to visit her. And which I did. And I told Susan I was going to call her in New York, and I wanted to talk to her dad. So her dad wasn't too keen on coming on the phone, but he eventually came on the phone, and I told him I wanted to marry his daughter. And I said to him, look, you'll never have to worry about your daughter for the rest of her life. I'll always take care of her. And I said, I have 850 pounds in the bank. And that was a lot of money those days, but it was kind of silly to say that, but I was telling him, I wasn't a goof, So anyhow, that's how I first introduced myself to my father-in-law. Then I met him with Roger and Sheila in Madrid in Spain and in the Hotel Plata. It was wonderful. And I remember coming off the plane, I wore a suit coming from London and it must have been 100 degrees.
Oh.
And we get to a taxi and it was so hot. We took this taxi, wasn't air conditioned, to a hotel and I didn't like it. Susan thought it was very Spanish, but there's no air conditioning and it was so hot. I said, Susan, I don't think we should stay here. So we're back for the taxi and he took off. So we walked a number of blocks to this place called the Hotel, oh, what was it called now? It was Marazco. And we met her mom and dad in the hotel and we went to see flamenco dancing later on. It was just absolutely wonderful experience. And no, I headed off with her dad right away and her mom. So it all worked out well. And I liked, they were both wonderful to me. They're very welcoming, for, a guy who worked for Robert Moses and he was had a big time job in the New York City Corporation Council. When he retired, they had about 250 people at his retirement dinner. So that's the type of job he had. So, I mean, a guy in that position, if I was in his shoes and my daughter wanted to buy a butcher from the northeast of Scotland, I'd be kind of wary myself. However, it all worked out for the best and we raised two beautiful boys and fabulous grandchildren. They're just, you're just amazing. The grandchildren are so just amazing. And it's just so sad that Susan wanted to see them go through college and this cancer is just a horrible disease. It takes so many people away from us. And it's just awful. But anyhow, I just want to say no more. Thank you very much for attending this service. I'm very grateful, Rabbi and the cantor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll say no more.
Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you for everything you shared. You're honoring Susan's memory so beautifully. I'm not sure if they were still on, but I just want to make sure everyone knows that Cantor and Jerry Blum were on, or they may still be on, but they were on for most of the service too. So it's wonderful to have Cantor and Jerry. I don't see anyone with a hand raised signal, but if anybody wanted to say something, they could just start talking or raise your hand, or maybe we've heard from everyone who's going to speak. Well, seems that way. Okay. All right, well then we'll close this memorial service and thank everyone who spoke and shared stories to just give the rest of us a little bit bigger and better picture of Susan and the life she lived. Barbara, thank you for your extraordinary words and your stories. What an incredible sister, and you were blessed to have each other. And our deepest prayer for all of you is her memory should always be for a wonderful blessing. And we pray that you're comforted by one another, by your friends, and by the wonderful memories that you have of Susan. Be well, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good night. Did you hear me say that?
Yes.
Thank you, Rabbi.
I heard, thank you,
And
George, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, June, and thank you, Sheila, and thank you, Jack, and thank you, Franca. And it's good to see everyone. And I want to say a special thank you to Rabbi Sharon Perlman, who has been my friend this past year, has helped me a lot. Good night.
Good night, Barbara. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.
May your sister's memory always be.
That was very nice.